An expedition team looking for petroleum on a mysterious island find more than they bargained for in the shape of a giant ape. Not just any ape, though, the one known famously to us movie audiences as King Kong. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Leger.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Bad. All right, so today we'll be talking of the many different versions of the story of the 1976 reboot of one of cinema's most famous movie monsters. Specifically, I would argue one of American cinemas, if we want to be exact here. Most famous movie monsters, King Kong. This was an attempt to bring back a classic film and character for a then modern audience. So, like any remake, they were like, hey, let's try to update this for a 1970s modern audience, right? It would actually be a box office success at the time that it was released, but it would receive mixed reviews from critics and not exactly be remembered as one of the better adaptations of the property. So yeah, it was a hit when it came out. Not the most fondly remembered take on this story and character though. So with that, I'll shoot it to good old Connor here for the scores and whatnot.
Yeah, how's it going? So this was the second version, like big screen version of King Kong after the 1933 film. Uh, Critically mixed, currently sitting at a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't terrible, but just enough for us to consider it, and has a 31% audience score. So fans despise this. Critics were like, you know what? Not terrible. But here's the critics' consensus. King Kong represents a significant visual upgrade over the original, debatable, but falls short of its classic predecessor in virtually every other respect, which is kind of a nice backhanded compliment of like, it looks great, but it's shit in every other department.
Looks great, story shit.
Yeah. So, and you know what? They're not wrong. I don't know why they took so many weird artistic liberties with the story of King Kong in this 70s one. It ended up being nominated for 3 Oscars, which is fucking incredible for a bad movie. That doesn't happen a lot here. So I figured I should shout it out. It won visual effects and it was nominated for cinematography and best sound. So, you know, that's
I
fucking
mean,
nuts.
I personally think plenty of bad films get nominated at the Oscars, but that's just me.
Well, I'm talking like me too, but I'm talking like audience, like critically reviled films do not usually make it into the Oscars, but it does happen sometimes, mostly for technical awards. But there have been a few negative, like horribly reviewed films that made it into Best Picture. I know, mostly bribes.
That's not here nor there on this show. I'm not going to get into a big, long Oscar rant.
Yeah, we do enough of that on Oscar Sunday, but we have talked about that, and it's fucking ridiculous.
It's insane. And I'm also doing that because we have a very hefty development hell. But yeah, it's the Oscars are weird. Before we do that, as we know, the question of the week, a thing that I started, so you're welcome to all, and it being adapted to other shows on the podcast network.
Don't break your arm jerking yourself off over there.
It's too late. I already did. Question this week. With films like this, Pacific Rim, and obviously the recent success we were talking about before we record because of a big thing that's kind of going on with Legendary and WB. The recent success of the MonsterVerse. What do you think are some of the reasons audiences consistently flock to these types of films? Are kind of fascinated by these, not necessarily creature features, but these just big battle royale, monster movies that always seem to be successful, almost consistently are successful.
Because kaijus are fucking cool. People like big monsters. People like larger than life, gargantuan creatures. They're fascinating. They're cool. They're exciting. It's cool to see them, climb up buildings and throw, statues and shit. Like they're fucking cool. And Kong was probably the first one. I mean, Godzilla came out in 1954. Kong came out in 33. I think King Kong's the first kaiju.
Yeah, well, and also the key thing too, and it's not key now because we're at a point where we can make deals and play nice, but For anyone who knows like the history of like the original Godzilla versus Kong or King Kong versus Godzilla or stuff, the other significant thing was what in America, King Kong, was the American kaiju that we came out with. That was a humongous hit, as we can tell to this day. And then Godzilla was the overseas hit, because it was from Japan, and how it came out in Japan as Gojira, but it got released in America as Godzilla. There's a whole weird thing with that. Um, but yeah, it's like, but since then, and from King Kong onward, like I said, these films are consistently hits. You know what I mean? Like even something like Pacific Rim, which wasn't a huge smash hit for Del Toro, which I'm so mad at people about because it's such a fun fucking movie. Sorry, I love Pacific Rim. It's had a Netflix show. It did get a sequel. It had its own sense of success. It is fondly remembered by many Del Toro fans, and consistently considered one of his better films. And obviously, the MonsterVerse. I mean, like, it had kind of a shaky-ish start for people with the 2014 Godzilla not being up to a lot of people what they wanted, but it was still a huge hit. It led to Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Kong Skull Island, the recent smash hit that was fucking Godzilla versus Kong. Like, so people loved it. Like, I can't think of a single film in this type of like genre that's been a humongous bomb.
Well, spectacle has always brought, spectacle puts asses in seats. People love to see, larger than life crazy shit they can't get at home, when the fucking Lone Ranger's on TV. So they need, they want that kind of crazy shit. And King Kong at the time in 1933, no one had ever seen anything like that. This was, giant creatures and actors in the same scene, like interacting. That was unheard of. And, every film since in the same vein has tried to kind of copy that or modify it. And some come close, but they can't quite make it seem as real as it did back then. But there are still, people who want to see that shit. I know I did. Like I had the opportunity and, the option to see Godzilla versus Kong at home on HBO Max when they were doing that deal. But I went to the big screen because I'm like, I want to see this thing on the biggest TV possible. I want to see the spectacle. They're reliable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a spectacle. It's just they're usually fun. One thing, especially the MonsterVerse, I've been seeing a lot of people talking about the human characters in the movies. I'm like, I don't care about the human characters in these films. I don't. 9 times out of 10, there are exceptions. Like I said, Pacific Rim does spend a good amount of time wanting you to care about its characters, and it does work in that case.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, I'm not there for that. I'm there to watch people, monsters fuck shit up on Kiss Pacific Rim. People in giant fucking mech suits battle monsters. Like that's what I'm there to see, and that's what I want delivered. And usually these films deliver. Like I said, Godzilla vs. Kong is one of the most awesome on the big screen fight scenes, like when they're fighting on the fucking aircraft carriers, and then the whole city destruction, and then teaming up to take out Mecha Godzilla. Spoiler, Mecha Godzilla at the end. Like it had some truly epic fucking moments. And Godzilla, King of the Monsters, man, when Ghidorah fucking popped out of that smoke, and you're like, oh shit, it's on.
I find it hilarious and just, a testament to these films that I can't name a single human character in the entire MonsterVerse from Godzilla to Godzilla versus Kong, but I can tell you everything about all the monsters. I don't know a single human storyline that stuck.
No, like I said, you have your like I said, I keep bringing up. I really like Animal Pure Show. Totally watch that theater, but Pacific Rim, they Del Toro, obviously being Del Toro, he wants you to care about the human characters, and it does. He makes that make sense because again, part of the plot is that it's humans that are linking their minds together to work the mechanical robots that are fighting it. So you do need to actually, in that regard, yes, you need to care about the human characters because they are part of what's fighting the monsters. But with that, he also still delivered on the spectacle. He still gave us very much his Del Toro flourish throughout that movie.
True. I would love to see the pitch in the Pacific Rim universe of like, these giant monsters are coming out of a portal. How do we save the world from these huge monsters? Somebody had to be like 200-foot battle mechs. That's the way. And also 2 people have to ride them and they got to be connected mentally to make it happen. So let's start building these things. Like, was that plan A?
It works if you play it with that music.
Yeah.
It's the score for that film kicks ass. I don't know. No one talks about that. The score for that film is some of the best shit.
I really like the first Pacific Rim is awesome. I don't want to step on that. I just find it funny that like that was the plan. Just seems like way more trouble than it's worth, but I mean it did work out.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever watch the sequel? Sequel is fucking terrible.
I worked at a draft house, so I saw some clips. Nothing really stood out.
They barely fight. It's such a bland looking film. Like everything that made Pacific Rim like great, and Del Toro's, his vision shine through was just gone.
That sucks. What a wasted opportunity, because I'd love to see one of those, what were they called? Jaegers?
Yeah, they were called Jaegers.
Of course they were. I would love to see one of those take on Godzilla. I mean, it's all the same umbrella, so it could happen.
This is true. I know there's like people like there's a big fan push for that, and they had to be like, no, we're not doing that. What was another thing of like giant monsters and missed opportunities? This is a recent one. This one still makes my blood boil. Jurassic goddamn War Dominion. Fucking fuck you. Promising me dinosaurs in the city, and you're like, no, we don't want that. Let's give you locusts.
Do you consider the T-Rex to be a kaiju?
No, I don't. I'm just saying when it comes to like big monsters and city stuff, it still makes my blood boil that I was promised dinosaurs in a fucking city environment, and they gave me locusts. Like I give a shit about giant locusts.
You got the Lost World
movie.
Yeah, the Lost World.
Yes, the end scene of Lost World. I was promised an entire movie. I was like, oh my god, yes, a whole movie of this shit. And then they're like, no. Because Colin Trevor's like, let's be realistic. Motherfucker, there's cloning and dinosaurs in the 21st century. Fuck off with your realism. Are you shitting me right
now? We should put that on the Beyond the Bad schedule, Dominion, just so we can properly dig into that thing.
I yes, but I also need some time apart because I'm still angry with that movie.
Fair enough. You need to heal. I got you.
Yes. God, fuck that movie so much.
When it comes to Kong, though, I feel like he's such an American icon in film that it's almost like an opportunity for some filmmakers to like prove themselves or, put their own mark on it, that they want to adapt Kong in their own way. And I feel like no one's really been able to pull it off as well as the 1933 film or, Kong Skull Island, which I thought did a very...
I was actually going to say Kong Skull Island. I'm not going to say it's better than the 1933 film, but when you're talking about someone wanting to put their stamp on it and try something different, that's the only adaptation off the top of my head that actually tried to do exactly that.
Well, it's not self-indulgent, and it's also not just, distancing itself from the source material. And I love that there's no like, Kong's not trying to fuck any blondes. That's a nice change of pace too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is nice. I'll get more into that later. I'm gonna save a lot of that for later. But I'm not gonna let that one go. But what I liked about what I like about Kong Skull Island, like one, obviously they're designing it purposely as part of the monster verse. So there's a lot of that in it, but they still kept a lot of the shit that we like about Kong Attack. There was still very much like the mysterious Skull Island that they're talking about. Hey, we discovered this mysterious island. That was intact. How the natives react to Kong, the dinosaurs and monsters are on that island. That was all intact. Even Kong having some sort of connection to the the female blonde in a pre MCU fame, Brie Larson. That was intact. Again, like you said, luckily it wasn't to this creepy sexual level, which again I'll get into later. But there was still, they kept that connection into it. So there's still a lot of Kong that he kept in the movie, but he found a way to make it work as part of an ongoing universe at the time. So it was like a really seamless fit.
True. And he was like 200 feet taller than he'd been in the past, which was also pretty badass.
Oh, dude, he looked awesome. That opening shot, man, his intro, when they're just flying and you see the fucking hand come out of nowhere and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's a good one. But I mean, the other movies have their moments. I mean, this one doesn't really, but the 33 one's pretty cool. He fights a big ass snake at one point. And then 05, Peter Jackson's King Kong, which is visually stunning, but really loses points in the story department. it's just one of those movies I don't want to watch. It's so long. It's the whole day.
Yeah.
And you're just not, you don't I feel like you don't get anything back.
You heard me. I mean, we were talking about this before we recorded when I said like I actually was just because of a busy work week and other stuff going on. I was trying to get to like the original Kong. I had zero. I told you I had zero intentions to watch the '05 one mainly because I'm not sitting through a 3 hour Kong film again. Like it does not need to be three. And it's funny because people are like, runtimes don't matter. Yes and no. They matter if the story justifies your runtime. Avengers Endgame, Godfather 1 and 2, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they justify their damn long ass runtimes. The Batman justified its runtime for an even more recent example. Um, but then you have things like The Godfather Part 3, fucking the Hobbit trilogy, King Kong. They don't need to be 3 goddamn hours.
Your movie, if a movie's amazing, it doesn't matter how long or short it is. It's as long as it needs to be. But when you're just dragging ass because you love the way you love watching yourself film, then you know what do we get out of that? It's annoying. You get a movie that gets largely forgotten or left in the dust. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So honestly, I just thought this off the top of my head. So I'm curious between because we brought up Godzilla. While we have the chance now, Godzilla versus Kong, who do you think would win? I don't care about the movies. Who do you think would win?
It depends on which Kong and which Godzilla. Because if we're talking like 200-foot Godzilla versus like 30-foot Kong, Godzilla's gonna fuck him up like a soccer ball.
Okay, the newer renditions, the MonsterVerse versions. Again, regardless of the movie that we got and the upcoming sequel.
Godzilla 100% every time.
Really, Godzilla. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but monkeys are highly flammable. And Godzilla screams fire when he's angry. That's a quick fight.
I'm gonna play devil advocate then and go with King Kong.
Fair
That's my
enough.
boy. To quote old school, "You're my boy, Blue."
If Kong can get in, if he can bob and weave that fire, he might be able to get some licks in. And if he grabs, we've seen him rip open some jaws before.
Yeah. There was a couple times in got the new Godzilla versus Kong where you saw him constantly try to push Godzilla's head away. Where he's like, no, don't do that.
Well, he saw him, light some fuckers up, and he's like, "Oh, that looks painful. I don't want to do that."
I remember I think it was like the scene, the fight scene in the city where, yeah, you see like him. There's like a moment in the fight where Kong is just constantly finding ways to get Godzilla's face away from him so he doesn't do the fire.
All right, I got one for you. Who would win? 70s Kong from this movie versus 90s Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Come at me, God's 90s Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Yeah, this Kong is a lover, not a fighter. So
sucks.
He's a shitty Kong. But yeah, all right. Peter Jackson's King Kong versus, let's say, Godzilla 1985.
I actually think Peter Jackson's King Kong would have a good shot at that one.
I don't know. Just think like any Godzilla that can breathe fire is gonna fuck up a big monkey.
Keep falling back on that. Go fuck yourself.
It's an ace in the hole. It's just like an automatic win. It's hard not to.
Kong, I don't know. He gets a huge boner or something and throws Godzilla off. I don't know. He does something. He has some ace up his sleeve.
Okay. I don't know.
Fucks Godzilla to death.
Jesus. This Kong would try. God knows he would try.
Again, I have more. Oh God, do I have so much more to say on that for a certain hint? It's one of my awards.
But it is fun to match that shit up. You ever see I think it's Godzilla Final Wars?
No, I haven't. Look, most of my Godzilla knowledge is when I was a kid in the Sci-Fi Channel back when they showed more than their original films. They showed a lot of the Godzilla films, so I would like fucking marathon that shit like crazy. Cannot tell you what movie it was. I just remember being like, "Ooh, Godzilla" as a kid and putting it on.
I'm exactly with you. I've only seen a couple of them, but I haven't seen this either, but there's a clip. I'm pretty sure it's from this movie where Godzilla fucks up the '90s Godzilla, like the Matthew Broderick Godzilla. They call him.
Yeah.
They just call him Zilla. They take the god away because he is no god.
Yeah. Toho was like really pissed off with the 90s movie and they made that in response.
Yep. So classic Godzilla fucks that guy up in less than like a couple minutes. It's not even a fight. It's a massacre.
I think it's not even a main part of the fight. It's like how the film opens or it's like halfway through the film or some shit like that. It's not even meant to be a main thing. They just do it in there because they were pissed off.
It's
with
Godzilla.
The American movie.
Godzilla taking the crown back from a fucking, imposter. But yeah, so I always thought that was funny. I've been trying to check them out. I've got a couple of them, but they're not all great.
No, one is tough because there's eras, right? Like different studios own a certain set of films. I know Criterion, to their credit, was starting to do that, where they had like the Showa area and the Toho era. I don't know if they've done all of the eras. I would have to double check, but I've thought about picking that up just to give myself something to go off of.
Yeah, they're pricey, but you get your money's worth.
Yeah, their box sets, their credit after seeing like that and the Bruce Lee set we talked about when we did Game of Death. There you go. And then they have some other ones. I'm like, God, they do have some nice sets. I'll give them credit. I'm not me, I don't buy a lot from Criterion just because a lot of their films are not my cup of tea, but to credit their box sets, holy shit.
Yeah, that'd be a nice investment. I've got all of them in my book of Filmgasm potentials list as like potential episodes. Doing some Godzilla movies would be fun, and there is a fuck ton of Godzilla movies. So yeah, it's quite a hefty mission.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I don't have much else to this. I just thought that'd be kind of a fun thing to look at, like, the love for this type of film, the ongoing popularity of this. Like I said, I mean, and to kind of, before we move on, to hammer home how popular stuff is, for those who don't know, the MonsterVerse that we have now was supposed to end. The deal originally was supposed to end with Godzilla versus Kong. That was it. That was like the cap off to this. It did so well that Toho openly was happy to talk about extending it. So that's why we're getting a sequel. That's why they've talked about doing something like that. Just because so many people flocked to go see, even in 2020, when the pandemic was kind of really going still. So many people flocked, and it's still so popular that Toho and was going to talk to Lish and be like, all right, yeah, we can keep this partnership going because people are still, we're both making money off this.
Well, that'd be sweet. I'm hoping for a reboot of Godzilla versus Destoroyah, which was the one I had as a kid, which was pretty sweet.
I hate they always say it like that.
That's how you got to say it. He's like a nuclear crab monster thing that fucks up Godzilla Jr. And then Godzilla Mom is like, my baby boy, and goes after Destoroyah.
I think they have one that's like a smog monster or something. They get like really crazy with some of the monsters.
It's literally called Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Oh boy. Oh, that would be a fun day. But until then, unless you want to add to that question and or Godzilla, are you ready into this hefty development hell?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to provide my sarcastic insight to your research.
Thank you. I feel like I know you don't listen to it because you apparently can only listen to one fucking podcast in your life. But those who do listen to this know about the last podcast on the left, aka Josh. This show makes me feel like the Marcus Parks of that podcast because he's the one that does like all the research, so he tends to be the most serious. Only because he does the research, he's actually reading like what all the true crime and paranormal stuff for the episode. And the other two just crack jokes throughout the whole thing. Not that they don't do they know what they're talking about, but they are mainly there to like crack jokes.
I feel like the way we've managed to establish it with all three of our shows is that only like one of us really has to do any work on one show per week. You know what I mean?
Unless, one of us gets COVID, then you gotta have to double up.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. Sometimes a computer breaks. Sometimes we get a movie that has nothing written about it. Check out last week's Filmgasm. And sometimes, we just don't care. That happens sometimes. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
It happens less since we dropped Snake Preview, but it used to happen a lot when we had Snake Previews. We were so wiped.
But you're telling
Yeah. And for the COVID cut, check out Masters of the Universe. That's the reason I'm not on that episode. I was the one that had COVID, is what I'm saying. Not fun. Wasn't fun 5 days. Well, wasn't a fun 2 days. After that, like the last 3 days of my quarantine were awesome because I felt great, but had to stay quarantined. So I just watched movies and played video games.
That's the life.
Yep. It's pretty awesome. Then I went back to work. But point is, okay, Development Hell. Starting at the beginning, like any tell, there's already trouble brewing because there's two different goddamn accounts for how this came about.
Interesting.
In December of 1974, Michael Eisner, then executive of ABC, apparently watched the original film on TV and struck the idea for a remake. Sounds like a producer right there. Hey, we should do this again.
I love that it's like he had a eureka moment of like, I have a brilliant idea. No, he's watching King Kong and he's like, I could do that. Like, I have the money, I have the power. Let's do King Kong.
I'm in charge of a studio.
I wonder how many remakes have happened just because of that. Like some executive is watching a movie on TV and they're like, I want to do that.
Me. So he apparently came up with this award-winning ideal, struck gold watching the original film on TV, pitched the idea to Barry Diller, chairman and CEO of Paramount Pictures, who then enlisted well-known veteran producer, not his first time on this show or FILMGAZM or any fucking show. You know his name, even if you don't know his name. Dino De Laurentiis. Yes. If you think you don't know this man, look at his IMDb/Wikipedia, and holy shit, you've seen something he's produced. The man had his hands in everything in the 70s and 80s, and I think for a long, long time.
I got worried there for a second. I thought you were going to talk. I thought you were bringing up John Peters again.
John, God damn it. No, Dino De Laurentiis. So that's one version of the story. De Laurentiis himself claims the idea was solely his own when he, and I shit you not, to me this is funnier than that this guy saw it on TV. When he saw a Kong poster in his daughter's bedroom because he woke her up every morning to go to school.
And he only saw that poster once. That's any way you slice it, there's no creativity coming out of this. It's I'm gonna do somebody else's idea my way.
Yes, I give a little bit more credit for the guy that actually watched the movie as opposed to that's a nice poster. I could just remake that.
So is that the daughter who has the cooking show now? Probably.
What?
Yeah, Giada De Laurentiis, I believe. Yeah, she's like a celebrity chef.
I didn't know that at all.
Anyway.
Okay, well, did not know that. So apparently that's how he came. That's his claim, and then apparently he claims after that Diller suggested doing a monster film with him, and that's when De Laurentiis proposed the idea of a remake. This is what I think happened. Reading two accounts, outside looking in, they both had the fucking ideal. And then I would argue Eisner did indeed go up to Diller, talked about doing a remake of something. Probably didn't say King Kong. He's like, hey, I think we can do a monster film. He went up to De Laurentiis and said, hey, we want to do this monster film. And then he went, let's do King Kong. I guarantee you it went like that. They probably both had it. It was worded a certain way where one of them said it. But it being fucking Hollywood producers, only one person can have the fucking ideal.
So it's like he said, she said, Winklevoss, Zuckerberg situation.
Yes.
All right. I don't know if I would want to be the one to take credit for this piece of shit, frankly.
Well, what's funny is De Laurentiis is plastered all over the rest of my development hill here, and Eisner is not. So I think one chose wisely and one did not.
Michael Eisner, what a weird gentleman.
Yeah. Yes. And with that, either way, does not fucking matter how this went down. Both provisionally agreed Paramount would pay half of the film's proposed $12 million budget in return for distribution rights in the US and Canada if the former could purchase the film rights of the original film.
You know, Michael Eisner was the inspiration for Lord Farquaad in Shrek.
No, I did not, and that makes sense.
Yeah. Physically, like the producer of Shrek was fired from Disney, and he made Shrek as a big fuck you to Michael Eisner. Lord Farquaad looks like Michael Eisner, and he also made him a like impotent dwarf with a god complex, with a name that sounds like Farquaad. It's not exactly subtle.
Explains a lot. So I'm going to say right now, there's actually even more of this, like this whole development hole, right? But I condensed a lot of stuff. Like there was a lot more about like deals they made to get the money and different companies because there's RKO was one of the original companies that did the first film. So a lot of stuff they had to get like, hey, we actually the rights are up, you can totally buy it and make your movie, blah blah. Not gonna get into the nitty-gritty of that. Either way, they proposed that, they got the fucking money, they made the film.
It does seem weird that would be difficult because you'd think like a new version of King Kong, like people would want to make that. Like that wouldn't be a difficult pitch.
It wouldn't be. And this is the thing that's weird. We'll see. It's not that this was a difficult pitch. There's a lot of weird decisions made throughout this process.
I like it. That always makes for good content for us.
Yes. And we'll actually get into one of those very, very soon here. So again, I'm not going into the boring details. Just know the rights would indeed be available for a deal to get finalized and release date set for Christmas 1976. So let's move on from that because I don't lose too much there. So as for the writing, De Laurentiis would meet with Lorenzo Semple Jr., who was known at the time for 3 Days of the Condor, and is the guy who gets the story credits for the film.
Okay. No, Austin's a big fan of that movie, 3 Days of the Condor. It sounded pretty intriguing. I think I'd like it.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. I think it's considered a classic, I believe. I know a lot of people that like talk about how good it is. I've not seen it, but I mean, I've heard it's good. It makes sense that, if that's what he's known for, and they probably watch him like, oh, this is good. Let's get this guy on board.
Usually how it goes. You write one hit, suddenly, you're the cat's pajamas until you fuck it up.
Hollywood, fickle bitch. Because sure enough, impressed by his work on that film, De Laurentiis would contact good old Simple, and apparently he immediately signed on. So I don't know what the hell De Laurentiis said, but he signed on quick.
Well, I mean, famous film producer Dino De Laurentiis shows up to your house and is like, "Hey, I want you to write a new King Kong." What are you gonna do? Say no?
Especially if he's telling you like, I really liked your, you probably preface that like, hey, I really liked your film 3 Days of the Condor. You're like, oh shit, like, yeah, I don't want to say no.
Yeah, this is work, but it's also going to be a movie that's going to get quite a lot of attention.
A whole lot. Luckily this collaboration isn't too heated, touchy, or anything. De Laurentiis already had two ideas in mind that he wanted. And that was the film would be set in the present day. Well, present day at the time. Again, I know it's 76, we're in 2022 now, but present day at the time. And the climax would take place on top of at the time newly constructed World Trade Center.
Yeah, not taboo. You can say it. World Trade Center.
I feel like it is a little bit because we're in that month now where people are going to get real.
This is not 1976. The World Trade Center was just another building for a big monkey to climb on. There was no, so nothing wrong with the building itself.
And no, with that said, RIP to those we lost that day. I know that 9/11 is coming up, so. And I would never really forget to say it on the actual episode that we are doing that week anyway.
Well, that's going to be a Sunday, so the movie that we're doing is it's an interesting choice.
Oh, you guys, yeah, it's hard for me to kind of get into the spirit because there's not obviously a plethora of 9/11 films. So it was a very finite time that came out.
Well, and also I just don't want to stay in that mindset for an entire episode. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, yeah,
I want to get sad.
exactly. Well, so yeah, no, I get that. So yeah, like I said, guys, at the time, newly constructed, um, World Trade Center which is why it's in the film. Which yes, actually, a little 9/11 connection. I think I did read on the Wikipedia, so hopefully it's true. I don't know. Always take Wikipedia with a grain of salt, right? Um, that apparently they did have to recall like the DVD or something because I think like the original like cover for it had Kong on top of the World Trade Center, and after 9/11 they recalled that to be like, oh, whoa, like let's take that off. But if anyone who knows your film history, they did that with a lot of films after 9/11. Like I think like the Spider-Man movie poster had the World Trade Center, and they fucking recalled that real quick and like everything that remotely had it just got recalled and redone to not feature it.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I get it.
I get it at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Whatever. Let's get out of this.
Yeah. So thanks to the risen sophistication and audience's taste in the original. Real quick, isn't that nice? That they actually were like, "Hey, audiences are more sophisticated. They're smart." It's nice when it's not a studio being like, "Look, audiences are fucking stupid. Explain everything to them." But in this case, the rap producers going, "Hey, they're a little bit smarter. They're a little bit, obviously it's not 1933 anymore." That mindset sought to maintain a realistic tone with a sly, ironic sense of humor, which is why there are attempts at comedy in this film.
I don't remember any.
I said attempts.
I honestly, I think the original concept and the Peter Jackson concept is a lot more thought provoking than just guys are looking for oil on a big island. So I think their idea backfired.
Yes, but I'm just saying it's nice for once that they approach the audience with that. Hey, they're smart, not hey, we're a bunch of fucking idiots, like just mouth breathers gathering at the theater.
That's the blockbuster, man. Like they're catered for the vast majority, and the vast majority of people are fucking stupid. So they gotta,
I,
they
you know,
gotta
well, what I've been seeing on Twitter with all various films, like what is it, like the woke brigade felt the need to come out of the woodwork for Prey. It's like, yeah, there. No, I kind of get it. There's a lot of idiots out there.
yeah. And they're keeping us from getting the full potential out of our movies.
Exactly. I like that we don't listen to them. Like you're sitting with Prey. I'm like, you guys are really taking Prey for being woke. Like, no, it's not. Like, calm down.
The whole woke thing needs to go away anyway. Like the word's been co-opted. It means nothing anymore. So just
It means absolutely jack shit.
yeah.
So with the tone, right? Realist tone, sister. With that in mind, he wanted to keep the basic plot line and set pieces from the original film, and then other things would be reworked, like what you talked about, incorporating elements of the then ongoing energy crisis, hence petroleum. That's why it's in there. They were like, "Hey, I guess there was an energy crisis that I completely fucking forgot about in my history knowledge in the '70s going on that they wanted to incorporate."
Well, I was talking to my mom about King Kong, and this was her King Kong when she grew up, and she was telling me that when she saw this movie, she was really hoping it would bring into play the very significant energy crisis that she was thinking about. As is everybody who saw King Kong in 1976, thinking, I hope this talks about energy. I hope petroleum is a big part of this.
Right. That's like okay, bringing it into now, right? That's like, so like, let's do King Kong, but make sure it's a take on climate change and global warming. Like, no, can we not? Like, I know it's happening. I understand it's a real thing. I don't want to be reminded about it when I go watch a movie.
It's like not every movie has to have a shred of realism. Like it's a big ass monkey. Let's just forget that shit and let us be crazy for a bit.
Yeah. That's like, can you imagine if Godzilla was like, hey, so let's talk about this pandemic? Like, no. Don't do that. Just give me them fighting. Let me forget that there's a health crisis happening right now.
I just pictured Godzilla and Kong in giant masks staying like 600 feet away from each other.
Just flailing their arms.
Godzilla still wins because he's got that fire.
God, you keep bringing that up. Like it means something.
Means a bit. Means a
It
bit.
doesn't mean shit if he's wearing a mask.
Oh my god.
The mask stops COVID, so it's going to stop his fire breath.
Oh, that is too stupid to respond to. I can't.
You know that's what would happen. You know it. You fucking know that's what would happen.
What's he'd like blast himself open like Black Bolt in Doctor Strange 2?
Yes, you know that's how they would write it.
Christ. Oh, anyway, yeah, it's weird when people try to throw realism into movies that if anybody has a shred of intelligence, they know aren't realistic. Like, to stop.
Yeah, it's like you could have just kept the basic story of it's a mysterious island that we want to discover and claim and be the first to discover. You could have just kept that part intact. Don't know why it needed to be this. That was first scene. The second one, the second part was, and thankfully this I'll get more into why we don't see it in the film, was having Petrox, the company, the oil company magnate in this film, discover Kong's island from a map hidden away at the Vatican Library.
So the Vatican knows about Kong and decided the public's not ready.
Yes.
What the hell is that?
Jesus may or may not be real, but Kong's definitely real and you're not ready for it.
I think maybe Jesus was a Kong. Maybe Jesus was a big monkey. And that's a secret that would rock the foundations of Christianity. I'm getting some Da Vinci Code vibes here now. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, I was like, that was a weird one. I was like, really? Like, the fact that they just refer to it as Kong's Island, not School Island, Kong's Island.
Every single movie fails to explain where the fuck they come into contact with this map. Somebody just has this map. It's like, I have in my possession a map to an uncharted island full of monsters. Like,
I would argue,
where did you get that?
I would argue Kong's Island is the closest they got to actually making it acceptable because they set up in Godzilla 2014 the whole Monarch organization that they are keeping tabs on these things. So they at least try to be like, hey, look, there's a secret organization keeping tabs anyway. So I can sit there in my mind and go, well, of course they would have a map because they're keeping tabs on these monsters.
Yeah. I'll give you that. 05, Jack Black just takes out of his coat, like, I have a map here to a uncharted island, and then never bothers to explain where he got this map.
Yeah, I do remember that. And no one questions, like, where do you get the map? There's never a point where someone's like, where do you get that?
No. And in this movie, it's like, can you see that fog? There is also fog there 50 years later. Can you believe that?
Hasn't moved.
Like, that's a lot of faith.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the only one I've been able to accept that I've seen, again, I've not seen the 1933 film, is Skull Island, because they go out of the way to be like, hey, there's an organization keeping tabs of these guys. So
the 33 one, some Norwegian sea captain comes up to Carl Denham and is like, here's a map to some island. Good luck. And then, yeah, so there's really, it never makes sense.
God damn it.
I think that guy was the bad guy in Son of Kong. So, like, he comes back later, but I didn't watch Son of Kong.
Right. Okay. On that note, there is one thing I forgot to mention that also was changed. Now, I know we have both seen the 05 one. We've seen Kong Skull Island. You've seen the 33 one. What's something other than Kong that's consistently present on that island, Connor?
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. What was not in this one?
There was a big snake once.
Yes.
I was
would simple drop the dinosaurs present on the island because he wanted to have increased attention on Kong and Dwan's love story and financial reasons, as De Laurentiis didn't want to use stop motion in the movie.
Well, just tell people that. Don't tell people that you cut the dinosaurs so that you can have more focus on the creepy Kong and Jessica Lange's relationship. Don't tell people that. Tell people you didn't want to pay for the dinosaurs. Just say that.
Nope. Apparently, they were very upfront about both. They're like financial reasons, and we wanted more attention on the love story.
So this island is just all that's there is a big monkey.
Yes.
It makes way more sense if it's like a land of the lost kind of, pocket of dinosaur times where there's all sorts of creatures. If it's just a monkey, it raises so many more questions.
Yeah, well, and especially, and again, kind of going back to Kong, I'm going to probably refer to that one because that's the one that's freshest in my mind. I think I liked it the most. So it's not 3 hours to sit through. But in Kong Skull Island, like they make a point to explain like why it makes sense to have the other monsters and dinosaurs on the island with the villagers, and it's the fact that the villagers, I think actually '05 Kong kind of does it too, and they actually explain like, hey, Kong protects them from it. That's why he's here. That's why they worship him so much. Like he keeps them safe from those creatures.
That's pretty much an exclusively 2017 Kong Skull Island thing because '05 Kong doesn't give a fuck about any of them. He's throwing them around like they're in the way when he's trying to get Naomi Watts.
Well, I know it's also implied that they do stuff that satisfies him so that he leaves them alone.
Yeah, it's a bit of a toxic relationship.
Yeah, so I mean, there's usually a reason, and having the dinosaurs helps with that reason. Again, Skull Island found a great way to have it tie in as like, hey, he's like protecting them from these fucking monsters. This one, it's like, why would you have an island with just Kong and then the village would basically they worship him because he's a giant ape. That is it. That is why.
I get it though. If I'm just a native person on some island who's never seen outside civilization, and there's this 30-foot ape that comes into my village every few months to grab another woman he's probably going to try to fuck, I'd worship him.
I mean, yes, but I'm saying I like it better when you have the added lore of the monsters and dinosaurs.
Well, it adds more to the island. It gives you more excitement. I mean, there's a scene in the 33 one that I wish I'd gotten to see in any other Kong movie where Kong's climbing up a cliffside with Anne. He puts her down briefly, goes over there to eat something or something. He comes back. A giant ass pterodactyl is grabbing Anne and trying to pull her away. And Kong grabs the fucker and rips his wings off.
Oh my god!
I want that, that should be in every Kong movie. That is so cool. But no, we never got that again. And instead, in this one we got fuck all. In the '05 one, we got big ass bugs and brontosauruses, and that one 3-way T-Rex fight that was pretty cool.
Well, and then the 3-way T-Rex fight, I do remember that was cool. Go on.
T-Rex, that was cool. And then in Kong Skull Island, we got the skull crawlers, which were pretty cool. It just needs to be more. Skull Island is this mysterious place. If it's just home to like a native tribe and a big monkey, I feel like there could be more there.
Yeah. Well, it helps add to the lore, and also like, and I'm pretty sure I know they talk about it in the '05 one, the 2017. I'm sure they do in 33. It's constantly referenced that like Kong, he is king of that island. That there's a reason he is called King Kong, and each film, to my knowledge, again, I have not seen 33 one, references why and talks about how like he is the fucking alpha of that island. So by giving you like the 3-way T-Rex fight in '05, and he likes the pterodactyl and the 33 one, and then the skull monsters in 2017, it's also a way to show you the audience that this character, because at the end of the day, yeah, obviously you got people that are very familiar with Kong, they know it, but they're bringing their kids or people that aren't familiar. This might be their first particular version of the character they're watching, and it helps reinforce that that's brought up throughout the film of like, Kong, he is king of this island, he is alpha. So by giving you something like 3-way T-Rex fight, all the skull, you're also physically showing that why he is someone that the villagers worship and these other monsters don't want to fuck with, because he will destroy you.
Well, and this Kong is such a goofy Kong because there's nothing for him to fight. Like he's not proving himself. He's not defending anybody. He's just there to, he's a lover, not a fighter, as I said earlier. It's weird.
Yeah, oh god.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But yeah, that's what I said. I know when I was watching it, and then when I was doing it, I was like, oh, okay, because the dinosaurs, as you can probably tell, and I'm sure people agree with us, they just add to the Lord of the Island. They add to the whole mythical aspect of Kong and the fact that he is called King Kong, and hope reinforce why he is, you know, top dog of that island and why the villagers worship. That when you take it out, to me, a lot of that is gone.
Yeah, I agree. And yet we still get kind of a bloated runtime here.
Yeah, this film is way too long. I do it every week on this show. I was just checking the runtime, like, oh my god, it's so going.
Yeah.
I think at one point, like, I kind of checked out. I had like all my shit right now. My awards I was like, I got my awards. I'm just going to check out, and I was just playing on my phone. The whole New York sequence of this film when they got back was me just on my phone looking up, going, "All right, almost over."
I didn't even realize Charles Grodin had died in the movie. I just assumed he was gone. I didn't see him get stepped on because I had checked out too.
He got stepped on.
Yeah, apparently, like when Kong gets loose at the big like reveal, Kong steps on him.
He does.
Yeah, apparently. I didn't see it either, but it's in the plot synopsis.
Wow. Wow. I like how I'm learning this live. I did not.
Yeah, it's not. See, the other shows, it's like these films have lasted. There's a point to talking about them. Here, it's like we're really just digging up graves and desecrating them.
Yeah.
There's no real like once we get enough of the gist of the movie, it's like, does this really deserve my full attention anymore?
It's like Spirit Halloween and opening, just desecrating the closed stores in the war and saying this is where we're putting our store.
Pretty much. It's I feel like none of these films deserve my time. It's gonna get some of it until I'm good and ready to be done.
Yeah, I try to be good since I host this, right? And I do the research and stuff. Like I'm like, let me pay attention, but those times when I'm like, especially if I have my reward awards down already, I'm like, I'm checking out. I'm done. Like
it's hard. I got you. When we did Endless Love, like keeping my attention there was next to impossible.
all right, don't want to talk about that movie again. Oh boy. Okay. On that note of what we just talked about with the script as it was, with that a 40-page outline would be completed and delivered in August of 1975. So they're on schedule so far, right? Due to De Laurentiis's displeasure, and this one, thank God, the Vatican subplot was dropped. And then they get replaced with the photo thing he mentions of the spy satellites. And you have the photo from the spy satellites. That's what they replaced it with.
I mean, both are shit.
Both are bad, but I can believe the satellite thing. Well, I can believe the Vatican's like, yeah, we have pictures of this island. The ward's not ready.
Well, like that, and then the reason how Jessica Lange ends up on the boat, like that was equally stupid.
Yes, it was, and I will fucking again. I'll get more into that because me, I'm an American Horror Story fan. I know the fucking power and performances this woman can deliver, and oh god, within a month, a 140-page first draft would include the very character we just mentioned. Let me say it again. Dwan. DWAN. A Beverly Hills rich white lady. I want all that to be kept in mind for that name. She was actually originally named Dawn, as one would name their child with those 4 letters, before switching the middle letters to make it, in their words, memorable.
I feel like it was a typo that nobody would own up to.
It had to be.
That's so stupid. I thought IMDb had a typo. It was like, there's no way her name's Dwan.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, there is no fucking way her name is that.
And then her explanations, like, I wanted to stand out. It's like, how about some talent? That would help you stand
out. Yeah. All right. God damn it. With that, on that note, a second draft would get wrote down to 110 pages, and then the final draft was completed in December of 1975. So, if there is one thing this film has done right, it came out on time. There's not a lot of release pushback. Um, so for the above mentioned role of D, because I'm not saying that fucking name again. Fuck that spelling. Uh, there was people before Jessica Lange. If anyone doesn't know, this was her film debut. And you're probably there going, this lady, really? Like one of the most celebrated actors in America's cinema? Yeah, trust me, she gets a lot better. A lot better in her career.
Two-time Academy Award winner Jessica Lange.
Yeah. Like the face of like the first 5 seasons of American Horror Story and fucking was acting circles around everyone each season. Yes. And even came back for the season deemed Apocalypse, where they finally were starting to allow them to say fuck on the show. Because, you know, if you show your show past a certain time, you can say fuck a certain amount of times per the episode. And they've started doing that on all their FX shows. So she came back and actually got to like our because we go back to the house and it's fucking great. She comes down the stairs smoking her cigarette. And she goes, "What are you doing here?" And she just goes, "This is my fucking house." Complete just boss energy. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, Jessica Lange. This is your goddamn house.
I gave up after season 2.
I know you did. You suck. For the role of D, before Lange, Meryl Streep was originally considered for the part. And get this, here comes sexism in Hollywood. She was deemed too unattractive by De Laurentiis.
Yeah, I read about that. He told his somebody in Italian, like, she's not pretty enough for Kong. And Meryl Streep speaks Italian, so she was like, "Sorry you feel that way," and just walked out. Ouch.
Boy, Hollywood. Hollywood.
Yeah. That's
As if, yeah.
I'm glad she didn't do it, because I wonder, like, as not a newcomer, would she have taken a bit of a blow from this?
This is true. It just, I don't know. It blows my mind. I'm like, okay, to put it bluntly, when it comes to a legit movie, Hollywood production, Indian production, whatever, yeah, if the actor's hot, the actor's hot. But I just care about how good of a performer she is. Ultimately, I want a good performance. The only time I could give two shits less about the performance and I want her to look hot is, you probably guessed it, porn. That's the only time it fucking matters. Like if it, that's the only time I care, because and even then they're kind of aware of that. Porn's very aware of that.
Well, we're here now. I would just like to point out, I think De Laurentiis is a fucking idiot. 70s, like, Meryl Streep was very attractive in the 70s. She's aged beautifully.
Yeah, it's just I know that like this is not porn. It's a regular movie. I would like to think most audiences, when it comes to non-pornographic material, care more about the performance than the fucking look of the actress. You know what I mean?
Funnily enough, one of my What's in the Box letterboxd reviews that I ended up cutting called this film, said that it looks like a porno gone wrong. So funny that we would end up here anyway.
Nice. I just had to point out I just had to point that out. It's the only time I care about their looks more than their fucking performance. But again, before we get to Lang, though, there's one more person. She's been on a FILMGAZM podcast up before. Miss Barbara Streisand was also offered the part, but she turned it down.
Good. That was a smart move for her.
Yes, I'm surprised De Laurentiis also didn't pull a. She's not that attractive.
Well,
that wasn't his like thing for every single actress that they thought of.
Well, Babs in 76 had power. So she had more clout than De Laurentiis did. So yeah, he's not gonna say shit.
That's fair. But after that, that's when it would finally go to Jessica Lange, who, like I said, she had no prior acting experience. This is her big screen debut. Like I said, not the best, but you know, you said it, she's 2-time Academy Award winning. She got a huge boost thanks to American Horror Story. She has Emmys now because of that show. Like, she is considered one of the finest actors in Hollywood and is widely loved by many, myself included, thanks to American Horror Story. So in a weird way, it was hopeful for her. You know, she got her start, and she had the career she has now. So that's good for her.
Yeah. And all it took was getting manhandled by a big monkey. And also starring in King Kong.
You want to know the director they had in mind before the one that you see?
I would love to know that.
Mr. Roman Polanski was offered this movie, but he wasn't interested.
Oh, that's after the rape too.
Yes.
Interesting. Roman Polanski's King Kong. No, no, no.
Well, especially after the rape. Especially after rape, I still stand by that this guy should not be allowed to fucking work in Hollywood.
Well, your prophecy came true eventually, didn't it?
Eventually, it took Hollywood a long ass while.
Yeah. Ugh.
But yeah, a Polanski King Kong film, that would have been interesting. Um, but with that, like I said, he turned it down. He wasn't interested, so he told them no. Suck on that one, Daily Laurentis.
Wow, the rapist didn't want to make the movie. That's a low blow.
Yeah, but don't worry, De Laurentiis, being the producer that he is, he had backup in mind, and that is the one that we ended up with, John Guillermin. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, I didn't bother to find out either.
Yeah, he had just finished Towering Inferno, so again, another case of like De Laurentiis being impressed with his power work, saying, "Hey, let's get this guy."
This guy knows how to film towers. There's a tower scene in this movie. Let's get him. That was the thought process.
I imagine him like with a lasso, just get him.
I will say, Towering Inferno, it's a damn good movie.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's really good. So it is interesting that, like, for both the writer and director, Laurentiis just watched really good films prior and went, "Give me those guys."
I think that's how it works pretty much every time with producers. They're just watching movies and being like, I'm going to make something with that guy, and that guy's going to direct it, and that guy's going to do the music.
Yeah. And in this case, it worked out for him again because he agreed to the job. As you see, his name is the one that pops up on screen. There was a problem, though. Apparently, he had a temper, and he was known to have outbursts from time to time on set.
One of those.
Yes.
I'm having flashbacks to the island of Dr. Moreau.
Yep. But this is a case, and I know I kind of made my complaint about how Hollywood lets a lot of this shit slide when it shouldn't. In this case, they did not slide, but again, it actually had mostly to do with a certain person he went off on, less than it had to do with looking out for the fucking crew. Apparently, in one case, he went to a public shouting match with executive producer Federico De Laurentiis. In case you're wondering, that's a familiar last name. That's his son.
You don't shout at the money.
Yep. Especially if the money is the son of one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood at the time.
Oh boy.
So after this incident, it was reported that Guillermin was threatened for being fired if he didn't start training the cast and crew better.
Good. I mean, I would have just fired him from the start, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, good outcome in this case. Like they were like, "Hey, dude, stop it!" But it only happened because he yelled at the wrong person. Not because he yelled at a PA that didn't do anything bad. You know what I mean? It's just, hey, look, it's like literally they went like, okay, look, so we're really doing this because you yelled at the wrong person, but like we're gonna make this a blanket statement. Stop doing the shit to the cast and crew, or else you're fucking out of here.
The golden rule is you can verbally abuse down, you cannot verbally abuse up or across. That's the rule.
That is the rule. That is Guillermin. I'll talk a little bit about Rick Baker, the one and only Rick Baker, who did work on this film. Yes. So he's the one that designed and wore the ape suit in collaboration with Carlo Rambaldi. He worked with him, but he has been on.
Back that shit up. He wore the ape suit.
Yes. In certain shots, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, continue.
I like how you had a moment there.
God.
But he was on record as being extremely disappointed in the final suit due to how unconvincing it looked to him. He did give some credit though to the cinematographer of the film and Rambaldi himself for being the only people that even made it look somewhat convincing. But still, he was overall disappointed. He does not like it.
I agree with you, Rick. It didn't look like Kong at all. It looked like a dude in a monkey suit.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird how some people can make like absolute masterpieces of makeup effects, like an American Werewolf in London, and then they're also the guys who made a monkey suit?
Yeah. It really is a case of like they talk about all the time with like these films, you gotta get the right people on the right project. And if that's where the magic happens. If you get someone like this where there's some more horrendous sounding production stuff I'm gonna go into, but you get people that like get stuck with a production like this and you're not gonna get the best work. It doesn't matter how talented they are. I mean, Rick Baker is fucking Rick Baker, for Christ's sakes. You hand him a shit script to work with, a shit movie to work with, he's not gonna give you his best work. He was only American Werewolf in London though, with like good collaboration. Uh, there's a lot of heart and creativity being put in that film. He's going to give you something that one of the most iconic werewolf transformation of all time. And not only that, he's going to compete with the Howling, for Christ's sakes. Like,
Yeah, but also he taught the guys on the Howling how to do makeup effects. So like he's
yeah,
still kind of pseudo responsible for that too.
yeah. So yeah, I get what you mean, but it's all about the right people, right project, and like so you get a great thing like that now where you have, yeah, he taught those guys, and then ended up having this amazing competition between American Werewolf and Howling and Werewolf Fix. I love both. I know you're not as partial to Howling. I love both films. I am though more partial to the Transformation in American Werewolf. I do really like the one in the Howling as well.
I I want to give the Howling another chance. I feel like that might be a me problem. So I have it, we'll do it on Filmgasm at some point just so I can kind of reevaluate it and see if it really does suck or if I was just in a bad mood.
I mean, that was me on a thing in Polanski earlier, Rosemary's Baby. I think I watched this in a bad mood the first time, and now I watched it like more experienced and better mood. And I was like, it's actually really good. I am mad that I picked up literally. I was like just doing a random like, hey, treat yourself movie spree, and I picked up the Screen Factory Blu-ray of The Howling off of Orbit DVD. And I was really happy. I was like, oh sweet, they have the Blu-ray. Let me get it from them. Take advantage of the like you get 3 films and it's like shipping's free or something like that. Just and then turn around and just scream and go, oh hey, we're doing a 4K upgrade. I was like, god damn it, I could have just waited a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's impulse buys are real and it's something we got to deal with. Wasn't there something else that just got a 4K release that like we both just bought?
I know I picked up Dog Soldiers not too long ago, and then they announced the fucking 4K of that.
Night of the Living Dead. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, god damn it. It's one thing if I've had the movie for a while, because then I can like start thinking in my head, like, is this something I can actually go ahead and like upgrade? Because I've had it for like American Werewolf in London. I had that Blu-ray for a long ass time. So when Arrow's like, hey, we're doing a 4K upgrade with the booklet and all this other stuff, I was like, yeah, that's a worthy upgrade. I'm doing it.
Damn, I'm looking forward to the Fright Night 4K Steelbook that's coming out in October.
Oh yeah, that's going to be badass. But yeah, now that we on that aside, some more fun production stuff that was happening to give you an idea of the craziness of this production. There was also instances. So as we mentioned earlier, laying in that raft. It looked like it was a hot summer day. Does it not in the movie? That she's fine. No, 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 no. They would have her spend hours in a rubber raft in the freezing cold with just the black dress you saw.
That's not kosher.
Nope. And I like to say it's the only time it's happened, but it's not. There's a very infamous instance in Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter, the first one get called final chapter. Um, But there's a death where a lady goes out to a raft, but stark naked, and she lays there in the raft. And infamously, she was freezing fucking cold because they were filming this in the winter of New Jersey.
Ah, God.
And yeah, it was freezing cold. She was complaining, understandably. I think she was actually getting close to tears. Like she was hating it. They weren't. They were being very unforgiving. And Ted White, who played Jason in that one, to his credit, said, "If you guys don't let her warm up and take a fucking break, I'm walking. I'm not doing this anymore because I will not film until she gets to warm up a little bit."
I hope he went to them in full costume. Like Jason Voorhees is like, this lady needs a jacket. That would be just amazing. It's probably not what happened, but I like to imagine it that way.
That would be awesome. You just take some. Okay, look. If you don't put a goddamn jacket on this woman, you see this machete? This is the real one.
Two of you are gonna run to get that lady a jacket. The last one to come back gets this up their ass. You have 5 minutes.
Live or die. Make your choice.
Christ. But yeah, it's weird how, especially, actresses who are new to the industry, who don't have any, clout, they get just used and abused constantly with shit like this.
Well, I've been hearing about a lot. Where, there's a difference between like wanting to get your vision made, and obviously you have this vision what you want made, right? But also you're dealing with human beings. You're not dealing with, we make the joke with Hitchcock, right? Or act for me, you monkeys, whatever it was. We make that joke all the time because that's how that was his mentality. At the end of the day, they're not robots. They're not the weird hologram thing people were trying to get away with nowadays. They're human beings. And I might despise some of these actors. I made my feelings known about people like Tom Cruise and stuff, but they have wants and needs. And if they're uncomfortable, take a fucking break. If they're freezing cold, take a break. Let them warm up a bit and then try the shot again.
Yeah.
Why do you need to do 20 fucking shots and have your actress on the verge of a breakdown because she's cold and you don't want to stop filming? The way Kubrick treated Shelley Duvall on The Shining, that was not necessary to get the performance that she gave in that movie. I feel like that was not necessary to go that far with her.
Not at all. No movie is worth breaking somebody mentally to get a good shot. It's just none of them are. No movie.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you do hear a lot, and this is not me trying to, but you do hear a lot more stories involving female actresses more than you do males.
Well, I wonder how much of that is like situations where, the actor might feel like he's not going to be taken seriously, or, it could be considered a shot at his masculinity. I think about like Brendan Fraser and Terry Crews. So like, I'm sure that comes into play.
Yeah, it could be. And, don't even get me started on the whole Brendan Fraser thing. Fuck you, DC. Or I'm sorry, fuck you, WB.
Yeah. DC's a victim, just like everybody else.
Yeah. But yeah,
anyway.
Wow. All right. You brought it up. You brought Brendan Fraser up. I was really, God, they're endorsing his renaissance so hard over at DC. They're like, look, we like you in Doom Patrol. Let's get you in Batgirl. And then the fuckhead known as Zaslav is ruining everything for us. So on that note, I got one more part of this whole craziness. Going back to the World Trade Center. Authorities ordered the shutdown of production due to the fear of having the weight of too many people causing the plaza of it to collapse. So the shooting on the fucking plaza, the whole fucking sea of extras, they were cool with it filming. The extras were actually quiet. No one was trying to pull the extra overacting some extras like to do. Doing their job, being mindful for once. But it's new, right? It just got constructed. There's like, hey, look, you guys are doing great, but like there's too many people. We want to play it safe. Shut it down. Get people off this right now.
I thought for a second that like they thought that, an 800-pound monkey was going to be climbing up that thing for real. And they're like, this is too much weight. It's not going to work. I was thinking like, Michael Crichton has nothing to do with this movie, right? Like, it's not a real monkey. Like,
800-pound monkey or a walk.
that is without a doubt the funniest story I've heard on any of our shows that I'm never going to forget.
Hey,
Michael Crichton out of his goddamn mind. But yeah, like, if it's too many people, yeah. But I thought, like, Kong's a guy it's Rick Baker in a suit. Like, that can't be that much weight.
no, it was just too many people, and apparently that they were cool with it because they had actually already gotten the shot. And I think he said they just brought a select few back later to get some quick pickups, but they were pretty much done. So like, yeah, that's cool. We'll get off.
Yeah. Well, that worked out.
Yeah, but still, just another crazy fucking thing to add to this fucking production. Hey, let's go shoot here. And next thing you know, there's like, hey, get the hell off. There's too much weight. Assholes, get off. We just built this.
I feel like there didn't need to be that many people.
No, they're not at all. So now let's talk about Kong himself. Mechanical Kong that was created, because along with the suit there was an actual mechanical, like I think like 40-pound, like big ass fucking mechanical Kong that they built for this movie. Months of preparation, right? All this time invested. It was they found out that it proved impossible to operate convincingly. So it ends up only being shown in a brief series of shots in the finished film, totaling less than 15 seconds.
What a waste of money. That's great.
Yeah.
God.
Beautiful, right? And now, finally, the last part of production, the war that Kong used, was not made for the goddamn film. Are you familiar with the movie The Lost War from 1960?
I am not.
They used the wars that were in that movie.
Getting a real laziness vibe from this movie of just like, somebody else will do it.
Yeah. I read that and I'm like, wait, this isn't like, Grizzly where they got a fucking a malfunctioned bear. This was we could make it. We could make the sound. We will not make the sound though.
Well, the Kong budget went towards that useless robot, so it's not like they could afford a roar.
You think he just looked at it like every day, like I could have had a war instead I got you.
$15 million just gone. Cut for you, you useless piece of shit. I imagine it's like Kong with like a permanent grin on his face, like some goofy ass smile that's just driving them all insane.
For some reason in my head, all this Kong can do is like that hand in the Jackass movies that they were using to slap people with. That's all this Kong can do. He's the hand is malfunctioning and slapping.
I'm picturing him just like he's stuck on like a jerk off motion. What a waste of money. That's amazing. I'm gonna think about that whenever I feel like I've spent too much on something. I'm gonna be like, well, I didn't blow millions of dollars on a robot that doesn't work.
Is for a 2-hour and 14-minute movie, it's only in it for like less than 15 seconds.
The best I could do is put the makeup guy in a monkey suit.
And then because we lost so much money, we couldn't even make our own war. We just used another film that is also about an island of fucking dinosaurs and undiscovered animals.
That's so funny. God.
Oh,
I wonder if that Kong was repurposed for the King Kong ride at Universal, because that would have been a good investment.
Hey, we got the money back on that. Granted, now
it burned down, but
yeah. Now all my mind thinks I mentioned is like that scene in Jackass. I think it was 3 or 2 with the fucking slap when Bam's walking in with the soup, and you just see that hand go whap.
They should have fucking known in what situation would the Jackass crew send anybody out for soup. I mean, come on, that's on them.
Well, you know what I love? If you pay attention, a lot of times what they're saying as they're all laughing hysterically, one, I forget who says it. I can't believe he fell for it. As even they're like, did you really like you fell for this on our movie set?
I would, I would live in constant fear, like just being on that set, no matter who you are, anybody's fair game.
Yeah. And now it's really constant fear because there's a new show on the way on Paramount Plus. So, ooh, fear hasn't left for those guys.
Nothing beats the Rocky. That's still my all-time favorite. So simple,
So simple, but so especially when they get him back with the snake thing.
so good.
So
Yeah,
good. I think just because of pain, God, that in 4.5 when the dude almost lost his dick. Aaron, there we go. I was like, not Aaron, Dave. I was like, oh my God. No.
no amount of its content pep talks are gonna help that one.
No, especially if you like you watch it and you hear his scream. That is I think the only time in that series you hear legitimate scream of pure like fear.
Yeah, because I'm sure it felt like his dick just ripped off.
Yeah.
Christ. Oh, anyway, yeah.
Ooh.
Kong about as useful as a big ass slap hand.
With all of that said, the film would, like I mentioned earlier, the film would go on to actually release on time. Probably one of the few films in this fucking movie series we do that got released on time. There's a lot of it got delayed. And for next week's, there'll be a whole lot of that. Would get released on time and be a huge hit among audiences earning Paramount Pictures again at the time. Like I always say, keep in mind money differences in the 70s right now and ticket prices. Would earn over Paramount Pictures would get over triple its budget on this film.
Well, it's 1976. Didn't have a lot of monster movies. People were like, "Oh, King Kong." My grandpa told me about this, and they'd go. So, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Star Wars hadn't come out yet. Our standards hadn't ballooned yet.
Well, critics had standards apparently because on the other hand, like you mentioned earlier, a bit more mixed. Like you said, their consensus being again that this version represented a significant visual upgrade over the original, which I'm with you. That's debatable. But that virtually everything else fell short, and I would just argue that everything fell short. I haven't even seen the original film, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is the beefcake meatiness, girthy juiciness of this week's Development Hell, King Kong.
Very suggestive way to describe that, but okay.
You're welcome.
Shit.
Yeah, I have a feeling it won't get better for next week. Just
next week's gonna be fucking personal. Yeah. So I'm excited to learn exactly how the ball got dropped next week.
Yes, but how was that? Were you properly prepared for everything I just had to go through here?
Yeah. I mean, some of it was pretty expected, like producers just being like, "Eureka!" to a remake because that's how they act. Like it's their idea. And a malfunctioning Kong made me laugh.
Yeah. I still think when it comes to the whole that remake idea from producers, I still think the pinnacle of that is absolutely the 2000s remake craze. When Michael Bay was like, I have an idea. Let's just remake Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then that was such a hit that all of a sudden all these producers were like, whoa, hold on. I also have an idea to remake insert big hit classic horror film from the 70s or 80s here.
I feel like every studio head took their assistant and said, "I'm going to give you $25. You go to the nearest Blockbuster, you bring back 5 movies that our company has produced, and we'll do it again." That's what it felt like.
With that said, there are things I like about it, so I will, in a way, defend it because that was when I was a teenager. But yes, I also can admit, holy shit, did we get way too many, just one after the other, after the other, after the other. But
yeah, I'm not saying they weren't all, they weren't all terrible. I'm just saying that like the idea to remake them is not a creative decision.
No.
ever.
What's creative is if you what the personal spin the director and writer add to it. That's what's creative. That's the ones that stand out, like the 03 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what they did to make it their own while still honoring the original.
Yeah, exactly.
So, on that note, I am good to move on from development hell. I between typing all this and doing it, I'm ready to. So, do you have anything else?
No, I want to get this. I want to get this monkey out of my head and off my back as soon as I can.
You want to pull out the monkey? Got it.
Yes.
So let's move on to the awards. First up, the Zack Snyder, who, for those who are hoping your Snyderverse is going to happen, think again with the shit going on in DC. Burning to the ground. All known as the worst scene, which were plenty. So, what did you have?
I don't really get the point of this scene. Dwan decides to take a little bath in the jungle, but there's no towels. So Kong decides to dry her off by just blowing on her. And she starts moaning like it's turning her on. You ever had an animal breathe on you?
Yeah, my dog daily.
Fucking
he's excited. Yeah, when he's excited because I'm simply home.
Now imagine a giant ass monkey just on your face.
It's sorry, not... I know we're not a visual medium, but the face you just made.
That's what it is. It's just, it's hot monkey breath. It's not going to be a turn on. It's going to be fucking nasty. And it's weird that she got turned on by that.
No, it is. Because, like I said, for those who don't know, I have an adorable dog, or a dog I love quite a bit. I understand if some people don't, because he's a lot of energy. I have a German Shepherd Lab mix, 80 pounds, big guy, happy guy. Happy dog.
Yes.
He had I brush his teeth. I pamper him. I brush his teeth every night, and his breath still smells foul. I cannot imagine a monkey who's obviously not brushing his teeth and eating other animals. I cannot imagine how that hot that smells.
Well, apparently it's an aphrodisiac because, yeah.
I had this written down, but I'm glad I got rid of it because I had a larger kind of thing I want to talk about for a different award there, and I added a different scene instead. But I did I watched and I was like, dude, what the fuck? For a minute I was like, this is the non-porn parody, right? Like, this is the actual film. This is not. I didn't accidentally somehow on Prime unlock a secret fucking menu and turn on the porno version of this. Like, this is the movie, right?
This is not King Dong. You rented the right movie. What else would it be called?
King Cock.
King Dong makes more sense. King
Schlong.
That's not bad. Anyway, it is weird. I've never, for the life of me, in any version of Kong, understood the weird, love relationship between the lead actress and the giant ass monkey. I have never understood that.
I'll get more into this later with my again a CERN award. But yes, I'm with you. I've never understood. Again, I go back to Kong Skull Island. That idea of he kept the things we know about the Kong in the story and type are fitting into the universe. Thankfully, to me, I noticed how Roberts did not make their fucking romance. One, he didn't really make it a romance, and two, it was not nearly an important part of the story. It's he likes her. Probably, who knows, because she might be the only female of the group that's nice to him and not trying to shoot him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I can be down with that. Cool. At no point does it ever get creepily sexual.
No, it's nuts. What did you have?
So the scene that I decided to go with is the one montage that we get of Bridges and Lang on the boat becoming attracted to each other. Because one, I'm sorry, 80s is the only fucking decade that did good montages. I'm going to say it right now. 80s aced montages. Other decades suck ass at it. Um, the music, the corny ass fucking music, and the fact that they have no chemistry. And I like they have zero chemistry. It could be because they just don't have chemistry. It could be because this is Lang's first goddamn movie and she's still learning how to act. Um, but either way, they have no chemistry. I don't know why they don't have it. And the movie does not explore their goddamn relationship all that well. So why have this montage and add an additional 5 goddamn minutes to your over 2 hour Kong film? Don't make a Kong film over 2 hours long. Hour and 40 minutes is just fine.
Well, we got to have a reason why somebody on the boat would want to go find. Well, I was going to say Anne, sorry, Dwan. And that's the best they could do. You know, he saved her life. So she's immediately, you know, like, oh, I guess I'm this guy's girl now. Because that's how it works in movies. And yeah, their relationship is so odd. It doesn't make sense. Also, Charles Grodin just stops writing Jack randomly, middle of the movie. He's like, all right, I guess we're on the same team now. And Jack's whole point of like being a primatologist goes out the fucking window. There's so much that doesn't get like has no relevance to the plot later that gets like randomly introduced early on. And she's probably the top of that list.
Yeah, it just like I said, man. And then like I said, just montages in general, like 80s is absolutely the best decade that just aced montages and like the music to play with it. And this one sucks.
I am going to refute that because the definitive movie montage came from 1976, and that is Rocky.
Yeah, but then they aced it even more in the 80s installments.
Yeah, but it got great with Rocky.
But the 80s still had the best control of it. Rocky was one goddamn 70s film you can point out. You could name at least like 5 fucking 80s films.
Rocky 2, 1979.
Rocky 2's montage, I don't even remember. So just get that out the fucking window.
All great.
Rocky 4 montage is the best. And that was the 80s, so go suck it.
Rocky 3 montage is the best.
Nah, Rocky 4, dude. All the way.
Rocky and Apollo, like being friends and Rocky learning how to box as opposed to just fight. And they, hugging in the beach, like with the music swelling. Rocky 3, man.
Rocky 4 all the way.
I love Rocky 4, but Rocky 3 is probably my favorite.
4 all the way. There is no other Rocky, just 4. Let's just be honest. Most people, I think, would make a strong argument for Top Gun with Danger Zone. Welcome to the Danger Zone.
It's Highway to the Danger Zone. Thank
Highway,
you.
whatever. I still have yet to watch the new one. I'm still waiting for Paramount Plus to put it on so I can still debate if I even want to watch it.
Draft House still has it. Like they're still playing it.
I know. I've held out strong. I'm proud of myself.
That's great. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Now let's go on to the next one, huh?
Sounds good.
Highway to the Danger Zone. Danger Zone. I just watched an episode of Ultra also, so on a side note. On to the Ed Wood. Worst line.
I didn't really get. Again, most of the dialogue of this movie is pretty nonsensical. There's a line where, again, Dwan is talking to Kong because Kong's holding her, and she's like, "I'm afraid of heights, and also I think you're an Aries." And then she just randomly yells, "You goddamn chauvinist pig ape!" Like what?
So much of her dialogue I had written down. So I was like, you guys wrote this character horrendously.
Yeah. I mean, she gets blasted off a yacht because she was the only one there not watching a porno. She's discovered by Jeff Bridges, immediately falls in love with him, gets stolen by the monkey, and just starts talking to the monkey about her sign. Who is this person?
Again, this is the same actress who was snatched Academy Awards, Oscars, Emmys for her work on American Horror Story and the fucking dialogue she's spouting out in that series. And this is how she started.
Unreal. But yeah, just this chauvinist pig ape line made no sense.
No, it.
Be happy he's not literally eating your head off right now.
Yeah, it made zero sense. And then even then, when she's talking about the signs, I'm like, I don't think a monkey cares about what fucking if he's a Capricorn or Aquarius or a Sagittarius. I don't think he cares.
Yeah, most people don't fucking care.
Yeah, I mean, I know mine. I don't give a shit.
I have family members who believe in that so wholeheartedly they make decisions based off it, and I like to sarcastically remind them how much it's bullshit. It always makes me smile.
You should write like fake ones just to mess with them.
Fake horoscopes. That's a great
Yeah.
idea. I was reading about this guy who said that like he was on a date and he told the girl that he was like what did he do? He did some bullshit and she's like, well, yeah, of course you would do that. You're a Sagittarius. And he was like, well, joke's on you. I'm actually a Leo. So turns out you don't know shit.
Oh god, that is good. That's good. I like that. Well, on that note, I guess I'll tell you my line. I was like you, a lot of this dialogue, I'm like, what the hell are they saying? What is coming out of these people's mouth? This is not how humans talk. And mine I pulled from Jeff Bridges because I felt like this was them trying to do a wink wink, nudge nudge to both the original film and what we know about the making of this one. And it's when they're looking for Dewan at first, and they see the footprint, and Bridges goes, "Who the hell do you think went through here? Some guy in an ape suit?" And I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to have like a ho ho ho. Well, it's kind of like, and for those who have been watching She-Hulk that aren't bitching about it being a strong female, they on the second episode, Bruce, Mark Ruffalo made that joke about like, oh, Jin, that was so long ago that was a different me back then, literally. And it's like, and she even had that fourth wall where she went, oh, haha, and you're like, see, but that was earned, and I laughed. This was stupid.
The whole time I just kept thinking, Jeff, you are so much better than this. Like, why did you do this?
He is so much better than this movie.
He really is. Ugh, poor Jeff Bridges. I'm glad he beat cancer and COVID at the same time.
Man, he is an unstoppable machine.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Was
it in 2020/2021 when I was on the deployment? Because probably not.
The cancer diagnosis was during that, and then the aftermath. He got diagnosed with, I think, like leukemia or Hodgkin's something, and he was going through treatment, and the chemo wiped out his immune system, and then he got COVID, and he beat that too. So clearly, God is a Coen Brothers fan because Jeff's gonna be just fine, and I can't wait for his inevitable comeback.
God watched Iron Man a lot and just really likes that scene. He's like, he built this in a cave.
I've been thinking about that nonstop since this Warner Brothers shit started. That's Zaslav just screaming at people.
What better way than to now move on to the Steven Seagal, the worst performance? Who did you have?
I could have gone with the low-hanging fruit that is Jessica Lange's, but I ultimately gave this to Charles Grodin, who is our villain, Fred Wilson.
Kind of our villain. He flip-flops so much, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, that's a big part of it, is like, I don't buy him as an intimidating force in the slightest. His character has virtually no impact on the actual plot. He's just this kind of stereotypical, like, oh, oilmen is a bad guy. Blah. And it was just such a lazily written character, and he just did not fucking care. You could tell. Charles Grodin was one of those guys where, like, if he had a good character, he was really funny. But if he got a shitty one, he gave maybe 1% effort. And this is definitely one of those.
I think the only time I thought he was even remotely funny was when, like, the boat's rocking and like they're at dinner and the shit's moving all over the place, and he gets to excuse himself real quick, and like he just comes back in like soaking wet, and the way he's just standing and looking, you're like, hey, there's some like humor right there. That made me laugh a little bit. That was
My
about it. That was the
my
only time.
favorite my favorite bit of Charles Grodin's in his whole career is in So I Married an Axe Murderer. He's the guy who refuses to give up his car to the cop.
Oh yeah.
Can I please commandeer this vehicle? No. He's just a stubborn asshole.
Uh, that was funny. He was funny in that. I'm glad you went with him because I did go for the low hanging fruit of Jessica Lange, and I did it because you know me and my love for the series that is American Horror Story. That was my introduction to her. Like many horror fans my age, it was actually I mean, they went off the train after the first episode. That's why my mom even watched the premiere because she was like, Jessica Lange's in this. I remember watching it. My dad walks in and goes, "Is that Jessica Lange?" Like, I'm thinking, like, who is this woman? And that's when they kind of gave me a crash course. Like, no, she was a big deal for a long time, and she had a period which kind of focused on like theater and her personal life, and kind of faded away from the limelight there. And that show really fucking boosted her again. But I love her on that show so much, and she acts her ass off, and is such a great performer. Does such a great job of playing like these complex characters. You see why she got so many Emmy nominations for her time on that show and what she was doing. I get why she has 2 Oscars under her belt. This movie, though, I know it's her first role. I know it's her debut, and she had zero acting experience. That's not why I did this. I did it because you take someone that has no prior acting experience and you give them some of the worst dialogue that I would challenge someone like Meryl Streep at the time or Barbara Streisand to even try to sound good with.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. Like she didn't really have a chance here. It's a terribly written character. She doesn't have any experience. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. And, like I said, thank God, this in a weird way that this was just her start and she had the career she had now. She's this beloved actor in Hollywood. She's obviously the horror community has very much embraced her thanks to AHS, and she has the love that she has now. And, thank God, because, woo, if you didn't know that and you watch this movie, you're like, why do people rave about her? Like,
yeah, I agree. I'll have a little bit more to say about Jessica Lange's in a little bit here.
Yes. Well, on that note, because I feel like we both kind of hinted at what our Michael Bays are going to be. So let's go ahead and get into the Michael Bay worst filmmaking decision. What did you put?
It is mind blowing to me that the special effects in this film somehow look worse than they did in 1933. So I think just giving up on the robot, putting Rick Baker in a monkey suit, and just not really committing to any one definitive version of Kong and just kind of trying shit out makes the film look sloppy, makes the character look ridiculous, and ultimately kills the movie.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, that's why I say when they were saying this is visually interesting, I'm like, how? How is this visually interesting? Like, there's no dinosaurs on this fucking island. Other than a giant snake that we get. Like, this Kong looks, you can tell it's a dude in a suit and looks terrible. And like the constant weird, yeah, no, this visually, this film sucks balls. Like the effects are no offense to Rick Baker, because I absolutely know what this man can do when he's given something good to work with. Like the guy's a fucking just a maestro at special effects. This movie was not his best showcase. This film did him so fucking dirty, in my opinion.
Yeah, I second that. Absolutely. And I think it is amazing that the 1933 special effects still hold up now. Like it still looks fantastic. But this movie looks like dog shit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with mine, kind of hinted at this earlier. I didn't want to say a whole lot, but that was the fact they focused on the romance between Kong and Dwan so much that of all the adaptations I've seen, because even I do remember not being like creeped out by it in King Kong, the '05 King Kong. Like, I remember thinking like, okay, and then I moved on because it was like obviously a romance, but there was a boundary. I felt like that was being placed in the '05 one, and I'm sure there's probably one that's placed in the '93, the '33 version. This one takes that line and just goes, fuck the boundary. fuck the boundary, and it leads to like many. You mentioned one for your scene, uncomfortable scenes of Kong being very clearly sexually aroused, like very clearly sexually aroused by her.
Yeah, like so much so that like I'm honestly surprised that like in place of the big ass grin, we didn't get like some hair down south rising. You know what I mean? Like it's so blatant that he's horny. It's creepy.
Yeah, it makes it uncomfortable, especially because, like I said, going back to that, I didn't want to say it then, but when you talk about that montage, like, why should I give two shits about the relationship? Because theirs is so shitty because he spent so much time having this ape want to fuck the daylights out of Jessica Lange, and that is a terrifying prospect to imagine. So I'm sure even the porno of this is literally probably a dude in an ape suit, a normal sized dude in an ape suit.
Probably. I mean, there's no porno in the world has the budget to basically make like a human being a full size fleshlight for a giant monkey. That's what would happen. I mean, you know, unless like you know Universal's footing the bill, that's not gonna be made.
No.
God damn.
Ah, damn it. Yeah, so that it's just weird, uncomfortable. This film to me, out of the many versions I've seen, just goes way too far with it. Yeah. But with that, let's move on to our silver the one positive we have for this film. So what was your silver lining to this version of Kong?
You've touched on it several times. It is the fact that, you know, it was this movie that allowed Jessica Lange to get her foot in the door in Hollywood, enabled her to get better roles, to, you know, train herself to be a better actor. And she won 2 Oscars, had a very lucrative career, became one of the most respected faces in Hollywood. So without this shit movie, she doesn't get to have any of that.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. That means I mean, it was like for American Horror Story, right? It was a big deal. I remember when it got announced that she was on. I think that was a huge one of the biggest reasons they even had faith to move forward with the series. Who knows if that show would have been successful, or if they would have given the green light for it if they could have, if she didn't have the career that she had, they couldn't secure someone like her. Because it wasn't even until season 3 they were able to pull someone in there like Angela Bassett and Kathy Bates. And it became a fucking scenes of you just sitting there entranced by three just powerhouse performers interacting with each other. Would that happen had she didn't get this movie? They couldn't obviously get her for she had the career she had. They couldn't get her for American Horror Story because she doesn't act. So that would have killed the buzz for the show. Killed a lot. I'm sure a lot of the viewership that came in initially would be like, "Holy shit, she's in a TV show now."
Well, King Kong, by doing this movie, she was able to later do a film like Tootsie, which was her first Oscar win, which I think is the movie that really like earned her Hollywood's respect.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta watch Tootsie. I'm sure I'm gonna really like that movie. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, no, like I said, yeah, I definitely touched on it. I will say yes. That I'm with you on screen. Like, not the best first time, on screen debut, but like it did lead to one of the most respected actors in the business who had a moment of fade and then quickly reminded people why, like, no, there's a reason I'm respected when she came back on our television screens.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you got?
For me, this is a minor silver lining because I really couldn't find much for the film. I didn't even think of that. I was so checked out. So good job catching that. And I put the I took this account because there are no other fucking animals on this version of Not Skull Island because they never fucking call it that. And it's the fight scene we got between Kong and the giant snake. Not the best fight scene, but I mostly put it just because I like that quick shot we get when he rips his head open. Like that quick shot made me go, "Oh, okay, shit, that was pretty cool." It was gory. There was actual like some gore. I was like, "Oh shit!" And then they cut away, and I was like, "All right, whatever." But that was it. A minor moment of just like, me getting to see a snake get his head just ripped in half by Kong.
Fair enough. I would love to know how Jeff Bridges knew about this island. B, how he knew about Kong. Because he brings up like, Kong is real. He exists. It's like, you just heard a bunch of natives chant a word. You don't know if this is what that means. Like, where the fuck did that come from? Sorry, I just had to vent that.
You sir are fraud.
But I guess the snake scene, honestly, I was like, this could have been done better. So not really. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying mostly just for seeing the head get ripped off. And that's about it. The actual scene itself is probably the many times we've seen Kong fight something bigger to establish his dominance, the absolute worst. But I like seeing when they do the little, rip in half, and we take that quick shot at Gorman and go, oh, okay, that's cool.
In 33-1, we get a T-Rex, a pterodactyl, and a big ass snake. So that's pretty sweet. And that was pre-code, so like shit gets hardcore. People get ripped open. It's awesome.
Yeah, nice. See, if I had time, I would have fucking watched it and probably really enjoyed it. I got 4-day weekend, maybe.
Yeah, they're all on HBO Max, all the Kongs except this one.
Oh, all right. Well, that's all I got for awards. So unless you want to add more, I think it's time to see what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Once again, there's a monkey in the box, but this one's much bigger than the last time we talked about monkeys.
When you say it, I don't know why. You ever heard the was it the Lonely Island song, Dick in a Box? Dick in a box.
Yep, I have heard that.
I don't know why that popped in my head as soon as you said there's a monkey in the box. I do not know the correlation, just that's what happened in my brain.
Second, there's a dick in the box. We're not doing this show anymore. King Kong 1976, currently sitting at a 2.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So one of the higher scored films we've talked about. One. Still waiting for something to knock Showgirls off the top spot. 3.0 out of 5. It's, yeah, pretty high for a shit movie. So King Kong, almost there, 2.8. And here are 5 reviews of King Kong that I thought were pretty funny. This first one's from Cassie. Jack Prescott, animal rights activist, supports the use of chinchilla coats. 4.5 stars. There's a weird moment where Jeff Bridges, who's shown to be very, pro animal, just drapes Dwan in a chinchilla coat and is like, chinchilla, it'll feel great. Like, wow.
I honestly forgot about that. I forgot about that already. So that's why I was like, what the fuck? In that review, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the character, it's such an out of character moment. It just shows that nobody really fucking cared. I love that, but then she gives it 4.5 stars.
So much better versions of this film out.
This next one's from number 1 Bratz fan. Too perverted and or not perverted enough. Jessica Lange's performance borders on unhinged, vacillating from 50s beach party babe to a modern horny horoscoper to a child. Is that a good thing? I don't know. She never quite feels like a real person. I liked when King Kong fought the giant snake. Can't believe there wasn't a shot of the snake coming out from between Kong's legs to look like a big dick. It's certainly a horny enough movie for it. 3.5 stars.
Okay, I like that one.
Yeah, we didn't get a snake dick from Kong, and that's the biggest sin this movie commits.
That's like a whole point off.
This next one this had me cackling. This is from Ethan Vestby. 'Twas ratchet pussy killed the beast. Laughed my ass off at Kong going out like Sonny Corleone. No score. He did just get blasted like fucking Santino. That was hilarious.
He took those bullets like a champ. He's like, go ahead, do it.
It reminded me of the end of Scarface, where he's just like, I can take all your fucking bullets.
I eat your bullets.
Christ. Oh, man. Number 4. This is from Kelly Warner. King Kong sexually assaulted Jessica Lange. You'd never hear of Godzilla doing such a thing. Not ever. Hashtag Team Godzilla. 2.5 stars. Say what you want about Godzilla. He would never rape anybody.
Because he doesn't have the arms for it.
So it's not his heart. He doesn't have opportunity. Jesus.
You think he looks like? I'm just thinking like the females that have been in like Godzilla films, like Vera Farmiga and Rebecca Hall. He's just like in the Rebecca Hall. She was in Godzilla versus Kong. Uh, Elizabeth Olsen in Godzilla, and he was in King of the Monsters. No, Vera Farmiga was. He just looking at them like his arms, like, oh man, come on.
I don't think Godzilla has ever once even thought about a human being. I don't think he gives a shit.
I would love a moment, and like he got stuff, he's gonna do like his fire breath or something, and he looks at me and goes, "Oh shit, there's humans in there." He just has a moment where he just stops and goes, "That that's innocent lives. I'm just trying to destroy that big thing down there."
He connects eyes with the female lead and just stares and does like this. She's like, "Oh my god." Anyway, Team Godzilla. You know why? Because monkeys are flammable.
That's not no.
And this last one is
Also, that review was fine. I really like that one.
This last one though is an essay of hate. So this is from Ryan Wally. Dr. Ian Malcolm once eloquently stated, "That is one big pile of shit." This iconic quote from the even more iconic Jurassic Park seems to perfectly describe the 1976 remake of King Kong. What a big, vapid pile of shit. This seriously has to be the lamest remake of all time. How do you take one of cinema's greatest adventures and turn it into some story about a jackass looking for oil? The acting is awful, the writing is awful, the direction is awful, and the cinematography is barely a thing considering it's too damn dark to see what's happening half the time. Worst of all, though, they made Kong a boring ass character played by a dude in a gorilla suit. There's something seriously wrong when Kong blow drying Jessica Lange's hair is the only engaging moment in your entire film. And the only reason it's engaging is because it's one of the most unintentionally hilarious things ever. This film poster proclaims the most exciting original motion picture event of all time. If we are talking about the original 1933 King Kong, I would probably agree with this bold tagline. Applying this tagline to the 1976 remake only serves to perpetuate the joke that is this pile of shit. Shame on you, Dino De Laurentiis and John Guillermin. Shame on you. Half a star.
Wow.
Yeah. Oof.
He had feelings after.
Yeah, this one hurt.
That's like when I saw Black Christmas 2019.
There's movies that hurt us so bad we got to voice it, and thankfully we have a place to do that.
Yes.
But yeah, ultimately not a lot of love for this movie. There are some people who grew up with it and it's their Kong, so it's hard to shed that kind of bias. But a lot of people are like, this is the worst King Kong movie.
This is by far the worst thing to happen. Yeah, I get the nostalgia. It blinds us all. Yeah. All right. Well, this is a pretty long episode. So if that's all that's in the box, I say let's wrap it up.
Let's do it.
All right. So before I reveal what's on next week's episode that we've hinted at a couple of times, social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under FilmGAZM Productions. If you want to shoot us a recommendation, feel free to email us at filmgazm@gmail.com. If you'd like to donate and support us in that way, you can find us on Anchor. Also, shout out before we record to the lovely lady who sent us some recommendations for future episodes next year. We are looking at your list right now and deciding on where to put them. Don't worry. Finally, feel free to get on our site, filmgazm.com, for reviews, trailers, articles, and all of our episodes. Now, next week, another probably long fucking episode because of this troubled production. We'll be tackling one of the most crushingly disappointing Stephen King adaptations I know you and me have both fucking sat through. The Dark Tower.
I just have this sense of deflation when you even say the movie's title.
Yep. More so because I was really betting on Prime's adaptation. So they had bought it when they were doing Lord of the Rings, but apparently they decided not to go forward with it, and they canceled it before it could even film. So I'm never going to get anything that I want, which is a good Dark Tower adaptation.
Yeah, but more on that next week because we're both huge fans of the books. We were both very excited when it was announced, and we both walked away ready to bust some fucking heads.
I was just gonna walk right to the. I think I was in Dubai when was it Dubai? I was in India when India or Dubai, I forget. I was on deployment in a fucking foreign country that I cannot remember for the life of me right now. When I watched this, pretty sure it was actually Dubai, and I just was like, you know what? Wasn't there a bit of water that's just hot and has sea snakes? Oh yeah, the one that my ship's on right now. Let me just go in there and just end it all after this film.
I wanted to walk to Hollywood, demand who the fuck dropped the ball here, and like kick them off the tallest building I can find.
Just,
But we're gonna have a lot of pent up aggression to talk about next week.
I already have like one of my awards in mind. It's the worst filmmaking decision, and you probably have an idea of what I'm thinking. But it's already
we're gonna be in the same lane there.
probably. I already have an idea on that one in mind. There's several ideas on that one in mind. But on that note, no, that's next week. So the buckle up for that one, folks, because again, there's a long production, I think, on that one as well. That film took a long time to get made. Just for the crushing disappointment. On Filmgasm, they'll be looking at the French language horror film Eyes Without the Face. I had to again look that up because I actually had not heard that film, so should be an interesting episode. And on Oscar Sunday, they will be looking at the Ben Affleck starring heist film The Town, which is actually a really solid movie. I highly recommend you check it out because The Town is fucking awesome.
Good movie.
So until then, be more mindful when you decide to explore an unknown island for some oil. Wouldn't want to run into a giant ape that gets really horny for you. See you next week on Beyond the Bad.